grinning at his gun. Fingers started shaking. I began to run. Bullets started chasing. I began to stop. We began to wrestle. I was on the top. I wanna thank you for letting me be myself again. I wanna thank you for letting me be myself again. Football in the collar, in the face. Tic-tac-toe to try it. Done me in the place. Thank you for the party, but I could never stay. Funny things is on my mind. Words in the way. Thank you for letting me be myself again. Thank you for letting me be myself again. Hit it, Jeff. Dance to the music all night long. Mama started shaking. Mama started to cry.
Good morning, my friends, and welcome to the Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living's virtual Sunday service. I am practitioner Clarissa Crow, and I just want to thank you for being with us today. And if you are new to our community, please type something into the chat feed. Let us know that you're here. And also please fill out our digital guest card, which you will see right there, the link to it above the chat feed, and we'll also type it into the chat feed as well. So who we are at the Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living is best described by our mission statement. So say it along with me if you know it. We are love in action, transforming lives, transforming communities. And so we have a couple of discussion questions for you today, and I'm going to read them for you now. What is one way you can honor the original peoples of the United States this week? And what are the ways you access gratitude in your daily life? So feel free to type in your thoughts and feelings and answers to those questions in the chat feed throughout the service, and just engage with each other. It's a great way for us to stay connected. Now it's time for our candle blessing. So I'm going to light this candle today in recognition of all of the lives lost and affected by COVID-19. We hold you in our hearts. Let's just observe a moment of silence, sending our love and our light. And so let's all just do our part. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you, everyone.
Welcome to the Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Paul Tuffy, and I'm a licensed practitioner here. It is my distinct honor, delight, and privilege to join you. Join with me now in prayer as we recognize those whose land we walk upon, and we celebrate with deep gratitude this moment we get to share. I know that we are all divine, perfect expressions of the divine, of the one, of spirit. We are all each unique and perfect expressions of God, sharing this moment, expressing in this moment, and delighting with gratitude in this moment that we get to be here together now. I know that this moment is a perfect moment for each of us to know community, to know that we are each holding sacred space, and that we are together holding sacred space. For that I am wildly grateful, filled with a gratitude that I can barely express. And with that gratitude I say thank you. Thank you to each of you. Thank you to Spirit. Thank you to God. Thank you to all of our relations. And as I release these words into the law, I release them with the deepest love and appreciation. And I anchor this with this prayer. And so it is. Today I'd like to share with you something I wrote a while back about the darkness and about the light that's found when one seeks within. It's called Cosmic Illumination, and I really hope you enjoy it. We awaken to this mystery fully formed, gasping for air, grasping for love, new to this life, emerging from deep water, struck first by fierce light, then perhaps the unmuted sounds of hurry, lest we emerge into a world less chaotic, perhaps with Aboriginal tradition embracing us. Otherwise, it is a fresh and mechanized madness that welcomes us with fierce light and machine fury, forceps, narcotics, fierce light and the din of dire circumstance. We are taken from the peace that passeth understanding into fierce light assailing us, taken forever away from the comforting darkness of the womb, into the darkness of this life. Searching for the perfect darkness wherein which cosmic illumination will abide. And so begins the sojourn back from whence we came, but returning fully formed and bearing the name of all the circumstances and experiences that shape the temporal soul residing in the eternal spirit. From awakening to final rest we seek, stealing glimpses, sometimes epiphanous views, the glory that is our birthright. Stumbling through the darkness, walking is merely falling with precision. We move toward love deliberately, accidentally, precisely, and haphazardly, seldom ever knowing where we are going or from whence we began. I learned to dance before I ran. I learned to laugh before I spoke. And I remembered to hold on to the dream long after I awoke. Darkness is my ally. The shadows are what shape the light. And the mysteries I bump into, far from giving me fright, promise discoveries and awakenings yet unseen. In this life I have chosen, it seems, to dive headlong into the darkness and dream. And with each step, I climb out, one light at a time. So go with me now into the dark mystery of your deepest awareness, to that place where silence is the music and stillness is the dance. Find within you the guides of your own heart, the quiet angels that reside within you, showing you the way, holding your hand, their hand on your shoulder as you bump into the mysteries. Let the silence speak to you. Let the stillness whisper. Let love be your song. And so it is.
Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful, 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 I'm so grateful. Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful, 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 I'm so grateful.
Hi, everybody. My name's Maddie, and I'm a practitioner here at the Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living. How are you? How's your day going? I hope great. Thank you so much to our beautiful music and Paul from earlier. I really appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and read the questions that we have. I'll start with the first one and tell you what I think. Okay, the first question says, what is one way you can honor the original peoples of the United States this week? I didn't even know anyone Native American until I moved to Albuquerque 15 years ago, believe it or not. I grew up in Los Angeles, and I just didn't know anyone. So since I've been here, I've met several Native American people, and I believe that their culture is a beautiful thing to experience here in this place. So I don't know. What could I do? I guess I could learn some more information or read some more information or just go on a website and find out some more information. There's so much available, so check it out. What have you learned? Go ahead and put that in the chat. We'd love to hear what you have to say. I'm going to read the second question now. What are the ways you access gratitude in your daily life? I live alone and I'm with my dog all day, and I'm in love with my dog madly and deeply. And so every single time I look at my dog, my heart swells with gratitude. So that's pretty much where I'm at every single day, and it really carries me through the day. And what about you? What are you grateful for? What do you feel when you hear that question? Let us know. Go ahead and put that in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and show you a video. So take a look. It is on the Season of Light schedule. So check it out.
Good morning, beautiful beings of light. I'm Jeff McNutt, Community Director here at Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living, and you all truly are beings of light, and we are entering what we are calling our season of light, and I need a little of that this morning, so just take a moment and just send me the light that is you. I really would appreciate that. Whoa, it worked. Thank you so much. So never in a million years would I have thought that back in March, when things started to go sideways, that during this season of light, we would not have all been able to experience it in person together. But alas, here we are, and I am so grateful for this community for helping us and supporting us in keeping this going and shifting it to this virtual environment. And we have been able to do wonders with that. We have people from all over the country joining in our spirit groups online, and people all over the world that tune in or access our service videos and other things that other content that we're posting on our website. And it just blows my mind, and it brings up the possibility of where we can head together as a community. One example of this I wanted to share with you now is somebody I would like you to meet.
Hi, my name is Jerry Crippen, otherwise known formally as Geraldine, and I have been licensed practitioner for the last 2 years, now going into my third year, and coming, I hope, to Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living and joining the group there. I came by way of Washington State, up in the Tacoma, Seattle area, and shortly after I got my license, I came down to back to Albuquerque. I've spent my young adulthood here and had all my kids here and everything, and now I'm back here for retirement. So gradually getting ready to make acquaintances with everybody, and I've talked with the minister, and I'm looking forward to making your acquaintance and working with Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living. I'm very inspired by all of you, and I hope I can contribute. So thank you very much. One in spirit. Thanks to all of you. Bye-bye.
And thank you, Geraldine, when you inspire us so much, and we can't wait to get to know you better as well. As I mentioned, Season of Light is upon us. This Wednesday night, on Facebook Live and on YouTube. Tune in at 6 p.m. for a beautiful, beautiful service that we have to honor our indigenous peoples, and it's going to be a really, really beautiful event, Wednesday, 6 p.m. Watch your mailbox. Probably the week or so before Christmas Eve, you're going to receive a candle in the mail. If you're new to us or if you're not sure that we have your address, go ahead and fill out a digital guest card that you see on your feed, and we'll post it in the feed as well so that I can make sure I have your address and you'll get a candle. We have a beautiful tradition around here of lighting a candle during our Christmas Eve service and singing together, and we'll be doing that as well. Then New Year's Eve, we have a two-part event planned for you, a beautiful New Year's Eve service where as a community we set a powerful knowing and take that forward as we move into a new year. And then New Year's Day, you're all invited to a wonderful workshop, and you can find more details about that on our website. And that's going to be another powerful way of moving forward with your knowing and your light into what's finally going to be 2021. So thank you so much for everything.
So we really hope that you join us for those special services coming up regarding our Season of Light time. I know that some of us might be alone during that time, so checking out some services can make you feel a part of. I know it will for me, so thank you. And thank you for everything that you've done for us here at the center. We thank you so much for your generosity, for your kindness, for your time, for your participation in everything. And everything that you've given to us financially over this time has made it so we can still have these wonderful services. We can still have classes and spirit groups and everything available to you. So we thank you from the bottom of our heart. You can give a couple different ways. You can do it on the website, abqcsl.org. You can do that, a donate now button gift, or you can go on text to give and give that way as well. You can give a one-time gift, or you can set up a reoccurring gift, which is something that we would love, so we know how much money we have to work with every month. But we thank you so much for your generosity during this time. It just means everything to this community, so thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and read our affirmation written by Paul Cuffey. My community is my refuge. In the darkest of times, I join with my community and find solace in spirit. We are all each other's keepers. Our love is our gift. I give with love to my spiritual family, and with love I receive all blessings. Ashe, Aho, Iasies, Amen, and so it is.
Love is the way, love is the light. We light up today, and today is all right. Love is the way, love will take us higher. We are aligned, and we are united. We are united by our differences, our different kinds of interests, our different intelligences, artificial or natural mystic. Each one a chrysalis for perfect imperfections. Yeah, we are limitless, 'cause spirit lives inside us. Mother Nature did us a favor, gave each one of us a different flavor, different visions, different faces, different incarnations of crazy. Someone to make some noise, someone to hear the silence, someone to drive the bus from town to town to give out high fives to teachers and bakers and movie ticket takers, to midwives and doctors and magic baby makers. 'Cause if love is what you're working on and peace is what you're dreaming, if you're fighting for freedom, you are my people. You're my kind, you're my kind, you're my kind. Humankind, you're my kind, you're my kind, you're my kind. ahead, cause we ain't got that much time. Tomorrow's ground is the foundation laid down. My decisions that I make today. I don't believe in war. I've been taught to love my neighbor. I've been all around and all I've found is we're all the same. The chief of police and the dealer the same. Neither the strongest can survive, only he who can handle change. Yeah, the secret to peace is to quiet the brain, letting go with all our hearts and letting love touch everything. Love is what you're working on and peace is what you're dreaming. If you're combating evil, you are my people. You're my kind, you're my kind, you're my kind, humankind. You're my kind, you're my kind, you're my kind, humankind. Yes, we are. Oh, 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 humankind. Oh, 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 oh. We share the same room. Your moon is my moon. We all wait and wax. We all want to take a nap in the afternoon.
Some want to be small spoon.
Some want to be big spoon. I like to rotate positions and flip it over for a different view. Some like it reggae. Some like it smooth jazz.
Some like to slow things down.
Some like to shake that ass. So many different expressions to take pleasure in. You are uniquely you, just like everyone else. Love is the way, love is the light. We light up today, and today is alright. Love is what we're working on, and peace is what we're dreaming. We are all equal. You are my people. You're my kind. You're my kind. You're my kind. Humankind. You're my kind. You're my kind. You're my kind. Humankind. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Humankind. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Humankind. Oh, 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 oh. Humankind. Oh, 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 oh. Humankind.
Hello, my friends. As we are traveling on this path of walking in the dark this month, Barbara Brown Taylor, from her book, suggests as the second part of this learning curve that we sign a waiver to bump into things in the dark that may frighten us along the way. And I sort of think of when we consciously step onto the path of our spiritual journey, that we are also signing a waiver to have some maybe bumps and bruises along the way. That we are signing a waiver, we are consciously inviting ourselves into a wholeness that may be greater than rainbows and unicorns, that may include more than just the sunshiny weather that we prefer. Because a spiritual journey is more than half of life. A spiritual journey includes our willingness to bump into the things that are sometimes painful, that are sometimes scary, that will grow us because we've bumped into them. And so in my own journey, I have had to bump into beliefs, ideas, traditions that are out of alignment with truth and that need to be wrestled with so that I can become more fully aligned with the truth of who I am and wrap my arms around life in a way that wholly embraces all that life has to offer. And sometimes that includes bumps and bruises. And so along the way, I have had to bump into this tradition of Thanksgiving that I was sold, this story of the Pilgrims and the Indians that I was sold, that is utter crap, that is incomplete, that is not true, and that is out of alignment with the truth of who we are. and had to allow myself to dive into that dark, deeply uncomfortable place. And in doing so, discovering that through that pain and discomfort of having to open my eyes and my heart to a much different truth than one that I had been aware of before, it was through that pain and through that heartbreak that it gave me the courage to have the tough conversations, to recognize that I will no longer participate in a holiday, in a version of a holiday especially, that attempts to erase the real history of the United States. But it was part of my spiritual journey to allow myself to open to that and to intentionally walk into the dark of that truth. And that is part of what the spiritual journey requires of us, which is why we are spending this time gathering the skills, gathering the capacity, growing our awareness through the dark places. I want to share with you from Barbara Brown Taylor's book. At a theological level, this darkness language creates all sorts of problems. It divides every day in two, pitting the light parts against the dark part. It tucks all the sinister stuff into the dark part, identifying God with the sunny part and leaving you to deal with the rest on your own time. It implies things about dark-skinned people and sight-impaired people that are not true. Worst of all, it offers people of faith a giant closet in which they can store everything that threatens or frightens them without thinking too much about those things. It rewards them for their unconsciousness, offering spiritual justification for turning away from those things. We talk a lot about spiritual bypass in this community, and that is what that is. When we ascribe to a full solar spirituality that only is allowed to happen in the light of day and the rosy, feel-good parts of life, it's what it allows us to spiritual bypass. It allows us to use our spirituality to justify ignoring the things that we find uncomfortable, that we find distasteful, that we find horrifying. Spirituality is absolutely not about living half a life. It is not about holding some people over here because it is too painful for me to acknowledge their experience. A full spiritual life requires that I grow my capacity to be with all that is. That I grow my awareness so that I can include in my consciousness all that is true of life itself. And we can commit ourselves, maybe sign a waiver, that we will no longer use our spiritual practices and our spiritual ideologies to justify being unconscious. Are you willing to consider that there may be times in your spiritual practice, in your spiritual journey, where you've used your spirituality as a way to block out the discomfort of life? Or like me, where you came into a spiritual practice in the great hope that somehow it would never be uncomfortable again. Let me just go get on my meditation cushion so I can escape all the shit that's too hard. But when we truly, consciously say yes to a spiritual path, we then must also say yes to the dark. We must also say yes to pain. We must also say yes to the storms that come before the rainbow. We must say yes to all that Spirit has to offer. And Teresa of Avila, in her 7 mansions or 7 castles, depending on which translation you read, She provides this journey, this guided journey of what the spiritual path is, how to really begin to embody and have a direct relationship and contact and experience with the divine. But when you work through her castles, through her mansions, the first ones are the ones with giant, labyrinth-like underground, dark and dingy cells that you must confront and explore before you can continue on. I mean, she is one of the greatest divine badasses and mystics that I am aware of. And she is taking you underground into the dark, into those places where you have locked up and put away and hidden what is uncomfortable, what is painful, what is traumatic. And that's the first place she takes you. That's the first place she takes you on your spiritual journey. And that is because it is in our wholeness that we discover a holy discovery, that we are divine badasses, just like Teresa of Avila, and just like Moses from the Exodus story. I want to share with you a breakdown that Barbara Brown Taylor makes in her book of a part of that story of Moses and the Exodus. She says, "Then God begins to speak from the top of the mountain, the divine voice coming out of the darkness so that the people can hear actual words. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me." That is the first clause of the covenant, with 9 more behind it. It rattled the people's teeth with the force of the consonants alone. When it was all over, when the people had witnessed the thunder and the lightning, when they had heard the blast of the invisible trumpets and seen the mountains smoking, every single one of these people who had prayed and prayed to hear the voice of God does a complete about-face. "You speak to us and we will listen," they say to Moses. "But do not let God speak to us, or we will die." We are terrified, I think, of what we will encounter when we fully surrender our fears and our stories of what we will discover in the dark, of what we will discover in our totality, that we would rather put an intermediary between us and God. We would rather be like, "No, I'm going to let you have that direct relationship, and you just tell me what you heard, and then I'll do that. I'm not really trying to have a full relationship with the divine. That stuff is scary. I don't want God yelling at me. I don't want mountains smoking and grounds shaking." But I'm telling you, it is in the yes to going into those scary places and bumping into what we don't even know we might discover, that we discover our holy badassery. That we discover this ground of God that includes the peace that passes understanding, that includes the joy that is ever bubbling that we have access to, that includes the thunder and the lightning and the courage that loudly rises in us when we allow ourselves to discover our whole nature. When we allow ourselves to become our own divine authority. When we invite ourselves into the places that we locked away, that we keep in the dark. When we gather the strength that is our nature because we are the power and the presence of the One. And we say, "You know what? I locked that stuff away. I have been unwilling, but I'm going to go now because God's got me, and I am willing to be shook. I am willing to be moved in ways that I have not been moved before. I am willing to look at a history that I have denied. I am willing to look at the ways that I have perpetuated silence, Look at the ways that I have been complicit and allow those to break me open. Allow those to bring me closer in contact to what is true. And when I do that and discover that, I have what it takes, I have the capacity and the power and the presence of the one to meet life however it shows up, because I've walked in to those dark and dingy cells underground. Because I have intentionally said, you know what? I have been comfy and cozy and I have not participated in the wholeness of life. But I can. I can. I can be as fierce as Moses. I can be as badass as Teresa of Avila. I can open myself, because when I do, when I allow that pain, when I allow that discomfort, when I allow that thunder and shaking and courage to rise in me, what I notice is that I am anchored into a truth that is undeniable. That I am anchored into the very ground of God itself. And that peace that passes understanding and that ever-available rising joy also includes a gratitude for that connectedness. A gratitude that is always present, that requires no set of circumstances to be in order for me to feel that. It is in opening myself. It is in grounding myself in that wholeness that gratitude just is. And then it becomes my life's journey in that connectedness to offer it. To offer myself. Because you can't help when you go into that place of connectedness, as scary as it may be, as painful as it may be sometimes, what you will find there is this exhale and this joy and this peace and this gratitude that is always there underneath any of that discomfort, that then becomes part of who you are and how you move in the world. I want to share with you from Gratitude as Ceremony, a practical guide to decolonization, written by Costosera Palamor. She says, gratitude is all we as Iroquois are required by Creator to offer, because it leads us naturally to actions necessary for us to survive and thrive. And in the Iroquois nations, this Thanksgiving address that many of us have been familiar with or will become familiar with, because we're going to dive into that next week, or this week. It is a Thanksgiving address that truly is a practice of offering gratitude, as she says. And it's all that Spirit needs from us. It is all that life needs from us, is to offer this gratitude that naturally exists in oneness. And when we do that, when we offer the gratitude that all that we are in oneness with, it knows what to do. Brother David Stendhal Rast, who is sort of known as the monk of gratitude, when asked after talking about his experiences in Germany and post-World War II, he talked about, people coming to him and saying, but how can you be grateful for everything? And he said, not for everything, in every moment. Because gratitude is so much more than what we are grateful for. Gratitude is so much more beyond what is happening that we can point to and say we are blessed by. Gratitude is. And like the Iroquois have taught us through the Thanksgiving address, it is when we offer that gratitude that we remind ourselves of the inherent connection with all of life, the light parts and the dark parts, the loud and shaky parts and the quiet and still parts. And that there is no separation between all of these parts of life. Like Barbara Brown Taylor explains to us, the problem with this language is we pit the light and the dark against each other. And then we give ourselves permission to put aside, to shove down the things that we decide should be in the dark and that are somehow unspiritual. And it's entirely the opposite. One of the young Mohawk men at Standing Rock who was participating in ceremony said, "As soon as you give thanks to something, it gives thanks back. That energy returns to you. It is a cultural way given to us at the very beginning of time. The words that come before all others, also known as the Thanksgiving address, is the most sacred speech we have. The most sacred speech we have." This idea that these words came before time itself. That the most sacred gift we have to offer is our gratitude. Because it connects us. Because when we allow ourselves to take those broken open hearts, when we allow ourselves to be shaken to our core, it always lands us on the ground of gratitude, if we allow it. When we allow ourselves to stumble and fall in the dark, we will always land on the ground of God. And I think when we give ourselves permission to really do that, to know that this is going to be bumpy. I might be awkward. I might fall down. I might not know where I'm going. I might not look good. It may not feel good. When we give ourselves permission and just acknowledge that that is part of the journey, it becomes less scary. Just by doing that, just by giving myself permission to go out at night without a flashlight, to go out at night without the light app on my phone, and to just walk knowing I might stumble. I might even fall. And it's all good. And it's all good. It's all God. To give ourselves permission to screw it up, to say the wrong thing. I've been hearing a lot lately in our conversations around racial justice and our conversations around white supremacy in this community, which we are having many of, and I am wildly grateful for. But I've been hearing a lot about this fear that we're going to do it wrong, or we're going to hurt somebody because we say the wrong thing. But here's the deal, you will, and we will hurt each other. And we will stumble, and we will bump into hard things. And all of that will happen on the ground of God. And as we open ourselves more to being awkward and to stumbling and to growing our capacities to become more conscious and aware of the wholeness of life, we grow our capacities to be with it. We get into contact with the power and the presence of gratitude, and the power and the presence of joy, and the power and the presence of peace that passes understanding. Because that is part of what we've also shoved underground. You don't get to kind of cherry pick which parts of life and God you're going to deny. If you deny, you deny. So when you welcome your whole self to the table, when you welcome all of life to the table, you welcome the most holy discovery you can welcome, which is the discovery of your divine badassery. The discovery that you've had everything you've needed all along. all the capacities, all the wisdom, all the courage, that desire for an intermediary is out of fear. That desire to buffer yourself from the wholeness of life, from God, is out of fear. It's out of a misunderstanding of who and what you are. We have all that we need in this moment to face what life itself has unearthed for us of late. To allow all that has come out of the closet in the social world. We have what it takes to be with it and let it break us open. Let it have us stumble and fall so that we can be more connected to the ground of what is true. So we can bring into alignment what is not. Those beliefs, those ideas, those traditions, those ways of being that have never been in alignment with truth. And it is only when we confront and explore, like Teresa of Avila in those first mansions. It's only when we do that we are free to be in contact with all that we are and all that life is. One of the questions Barbara Brown Taylor asks herself in the book is, did I have enough faith to explore the dark instead of using faith to bar my doors? When you find yourself in moments of darkness and moments of pain, I want you to ask yourself this question. Do I have enough faith to face what is right here in front of me, to face this moment of darkness, to face this shaking ground, to face this aloneness, rather than use my faith to push it away? And here's what I know you will come to when you allow yourself to really ask the question. Your divine badass self will always answer yes. Yes, I have the faith to meet what is wildly uncomfortable. Yes, I have the faith to go open the door to the giant closet where I have shoved all the uncomfortable and ugly. Yes, I have the faith to learn the real history of the U.S. and wrestle with it. Yes, I have the faith to be in that discomfort long enough to let it still me to the ground where all that is true about myself and the divine are mine to experience and embody. So I have the faith to move past all of that discomfort by moving through it so that I can land and become a living embodiment and offering of gratitude to life itself. She goes on to say, as universal as darkness may be, our experience of it is local. It is also social, cultural, economic, and political. Since our relationship with darkness is never limited to what we have personally sensed or intuited about it. We have all been taught what to think about the dark, and most of us only have to think a minute to come up with the names of our teachers. So I invite you to take a minute right now and close your eyes and think of a moment of darkness, a moment of wild discomfort and pain. And what did it teach you about the dark? Allow yourself right now to go into one of those moments, knowing that what you discover there is part of your path. Because when we do that, we are journeying into and further along our own spiritual journeys. So I'm going to invite you to do a very specific practice this week. I want you to take time this week to sit with some of those realities, some of the realities that you may have unearthed right now in this moment, some of the realities that have been thrown in our face through the news, through all of the unrest in our country, the inequities, the injustices, the untruths. I want you to take those realities and sit with them. Sit with them with your full attention on them and allow them to move you. Allow them to break your heart open, to grow you, and to reveal to you your divinely badass nature. That's just step one. And when you've opened your heart, when you've allowed yourself to be moved and heartbroken, I want you to take that open heart into the stillness and sit with it. Sit with it until you notice that the pain subsides, that the discomfort moves aside, and what you are left with is the ground of gratitude, the ground of God itself. And then I want you to offer that gratitude. Offer that blessing that you have received and become a living blessing as you allow that to move through you, moving you to what is necessary for all of us to thrive. If you are willing to join me in this signing of a waiver to bump in to what is in the dark, to open the doors of our closets and dig out what needs to be dug up, then I also want to invite you to join me and many of our beloved community members this Wednesday on Facebook or YouTube Live at 6 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, where we are going to learn the words that came before time, where we are going to honor the indigenous lives and peoples of this land, and where we are going to ourselves commit ourselves more deeply to being a living blessing in this life. Let's ground all this in prayer. What I know that I know that I know that I know in every fiber of my being and what is in my experience, and that I allow to break me open and shake me, is that there is only one. And that one is the life that we each are living right here and right now. And that each of us, in that recognition of this oneness that we belong to, we allow it to move us in right action. We allow it to break us open and dance with all that needs to be danced with. We allow it to move us in an activity that lets go of what no longer serves, what embraces more fully the nature of the divine badass that I am and that you are and that God is. And because I know that this is what is happening in each and every one of our lives, this is what is happening in the collective, I know that those shaky grounds are for us. I know that that shouting and that screaming and the rioting and all that comes to pass is for us, as we each come closer to the very ground of God and allow that to move us as blessings to life itself. As we each offer ourselves to life, I just revel in gratitude. I rest in how good God is as life itself. And I allow it to continue to grow me and each one of us in all the beautiful ways. I let it be. And so it is.
you're my life, you're my breath, you're my smile, you a guest, you the earth, you the sun, you the grass, you are love, you're my hands, you're a bug, you're my eyes, you're a hug, you're the light in the dark, you're a spark, you are fun, you're my mom, you're my water, you the stars, you're my daughter, you're my friend to the end, you're my dreams, you're my father, the ants on the ground, the miracles that surround, I'm feeling it all around, the hemisphere and the clouds, you're my pain, you're my sorrow, you're my hope for tomorrow, you're the strength when I'm hollow, you're the path that I fall, the blessings that exist, the small things that are bliss, the gift to realize that everything is a gift.
All that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all, for it all. Na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na. Grateful for it all.
The blessings every time I try to count, the lessons that I learn every time I turn around, the water when I'm burned every time I think I'm found, everything I'm looking for, you're the sign and saying stop and take a bow and keep moving forward and keep looking towards your heart. Only open doors and only then you'll start to hear the world singing chords with your mind and heart aligned to purpose, and everything will be gorgeous.
All that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all, for it all.
Every day I sit and pray cause what I had was more than I deserve or to ever imagine. How do I get back all this magic and spread this love so everybody can have it? It doesn't matter if I'm rich or poor, if I got a family, if I'm all alone. Bad things can happen, I could just complain and moan, but there's a million things that I can be grateful for.
So I lift up my hands now, and I open my heart,
And my gratitude flows out to everything near and far.
all that I am.
Everything I am and everything that I see, everything I hope and everything that I dream, everything I feel and everything that I be. I look deep down and feel all the blessings, everything I am and everything that I see, everything I hope and everything that I dream, everything I feel and everything that I be. I'm grateful for it all, it's amazing. Everything I am and everything that I be, everything I hope and everything that I see, everything I dream and everything that I be. I look deep down and feel all the blessings, everything I am and everything that I be, everything I hope and everything that I dream, everything I feel and everything that I be. I'm grateful for it all, it's amazing.
Na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na. Grateful for it all. Na 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 na, na 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 na.
You're the blessing that exists, the small things that are bliss, the gift to realize that everything is a gift.
Wow, beautiful. Oh, this service today truly just moved me to tears. Thank you so much, Reverend Amani. Thank you to everybody who made this service possible today, and that absolutely includes each one of you participating in the chat feed and sharing your thoughts and your hearts. Some really beautiful things you guys had to say. I'm just going to share a couple of them. Kelly Sandin said, "The celebration of Thanksgiving can be transformed into a celebration of the truth, of the kindness, compassion, and love that Native Americans showed and still show. Let go of the lies and celebrate the truth." And Kenneth Winfrey said, "I shall honor the earth and strive to be in harmony with the people who were her caretakers before the rest of us arrived. I practice gratitude for the precious experience of life in my body, in my mind, and in my heart." So I just want to let you guys know, as Jeff mentioned, we have a wonderful holiday season of light planned for you. So just visit abqcsl.org for details about our special services and online events. And as always, prayer support is available in this community. We have an ever-increasing number of practitioners whose absolute delight it is to hold you in prayer. So just email us prayer@abqcsl.org. And I am just wishing you all a week of wholeness, a week of beauty, a week of courage and faith and willingness, and a week of deep gratitude. So we're going to close out our service today with our final affirmation written by Paul Cuffey. I call on my ancestors to guide me through the darkness, and all is well. I love you so much. Have a beautiful week.